Hello there everybody, this is Reggie time and we're continuing the kind of recreational playing poker for pleasure theme here today by playing some 25NL Zoom on Pokerstars, which isn't a game that you would typically find me playing. I think it's a tough game. There's plenty of very good players in it and not too many really bad players, but we're going to play it anyway because I know it's a game that a lot of you guys will play. Many of you guys will play it without a great deal of success as well. We're going to try and play it, keep it pretty close to the vest, because I am typically a tight player anyway, so if there's like any kind of close spots, you're going to see me taking the the tighter, more cautious approach rather than the balls out, all guns blazing approach, because it's just how I feel things work better for me. I mean, I'll be turning down some opportunities to be aggressive that other guys would take, and maybe be doing a bit more calling than some guys do. I'll certainly be doing much less 3-betting and defending versus 3-bets than a lot of guys do, and we'll talk about those spots if and when they come up. But generally, I'm going to have a pretty nitty tight approach. I'd imagine if I played these games regularly, my stats wouldn't get that far over, who knows what, 18, 14 with a 4% 3-bet, something like that, and that is super nitty, and I'm not saying that's the best way to approach these games. You know, if you want to be a real sicko crusher in them, like high volume, low win rate, high variance grinder, it's going to be something that you're going to think, don't fancy that much. But we are talking from a perspective of people who are playing to try and enjoy the game and try and play for pleasure. And, you know, not everyone wants to like always just put themselves in some really, really like high variance, unenjoyable spots. That's just a fact of life. The Jack Queen off, I think we're just going to... I don't like to 3-bet it from the small. We're just going to make a tight four from the small blind. From the big blind, we would have defended and called there. So we're going to try and do things that are just okay. They might not always be the absolute best decision, but they're also, we're going to try and not do terrible things that allow people to continue playing and enjoying the ground, enjoying the grind. I think one of the things that a lot of recreational players don't enjoy, because they just want to play poker, they want to take some flops, they want to try and make some hands, is the quite aggressive meta game that can exist in Zoom games in particular. So we're going to try and do things more in line with that keeps poker light, keeps it relatively enjoyable, and doesn't constantly force us to be making really tough, unpleasant decisions constantly. What we're effectively going to try and do is not make too many super big pots, especially when we're at a position with marginal holdings. We're going to try and limit those types of spots, and to do that you kind of have to be on the tighter side and you have to be a little bit weak in some spots, but that's going to be fine if it's going to keep you out of spots that, to be frank, you're just not equipped to deal with. We're still going to be trying to open relatively wide from the cutoff and the button, but we're going to wind it in the face of lots of aggression, or when we think people are representing strong lines. I'm going to call once here with my 10-9. It's when people see bet on ace-ace boards, it can be quite polarising. For example, I wouldn't particularly expect someone to see bet pocket jacks or pocket queens there. I mean, they might do, but usually it's going to be a whole lot of air and a whole lot of ace-x. We're going to check again. There's no reason to bet here. We might call the river, because I expect to see a lot of king, queen, jack, queen, just under pairs that are just stabbed at the flop there a lot of the time. And he did just have the king, jack, and he didn't continue. I think what he's done is fine there. So yeah, if you are watching this video as a 25NL Zoom player who plays 4 tables and looking to improve, this isn't going to be the video for you. This is absolutely going to be a video aimed at people who want to enjoy the game and not get too massively into the really super hardcore side of it. We're going to call with the Queen 10 suited. it's a little bit loose, but the guy's got much less than 100 big blinds. He's likely to be a weaker player, and there's not many weak players in Zoom, so when we see one, we want to try and play pots with him with playable hands. Folding that board texture, we're going to defend the 10s with a call. He's pretty strong. We've raised under the gun. He's 3 better than the big blind when he could just call. So it's a pretty strong line, but we're going to be in position, and he's made his raise quite small. So I'm happy set mine in there. If we were out of position, if that was say if he was on the button, anybody slightly bigger, I wouldn't have called. But when we're going to be in position, it's a smallish raise. I don't mind taking a flop. Question here is, do we want to squeeze against China with our 2 8s? Good chance they're going to be the best hand, so we're going to just squeeze here against China and try and isolate him. I'm already aware that my time bank's pretty low on table 2, so I'm going to have to make some decisions quite quickly. China calls, which is kind of what we didn't want to happen, because he kind of want to just get it all in pre. But now, I mean, if he's got a king or he's got a club, it's just going to be unlucky for us. It's not a great flop for us, but we can't check fold. I don't think we can anyway, so ship it in. And he had the king 10, which is unfortunate, and we pretty much no outs apart from that one, which we'll take. So we'll go back and look at that. I think actually we'll I kind of feel like I want to explain myself there. Just tidy that up a little bit if we can. My motor skills aren't what they used to be. So yeah, we have a spot here with somebody who is more than likely going to be a recreational player in the sense, not in the sense that I'm a recreational player and the guys watching this video are recreational players, as in recreational players trying to play well. This is somebody who's like just got a really small stack. He's only got 38 big blinds, $9.73 as it is. We could have just called from the small blind and hoped not to get squeezed, but we need to be trying to isolate. These are the players you want to be trying to play poker against. You want to try to play pots against. You don't really want to try to be playing pots against someone like Borobar, who could be 4-table in. You know, it's a solid aggressive player, most likely, I imagine, from Poland. But you want to be playing against people from Ireland, the UK, Holland, who don't have full stacks, because they're most likely to be the players that are going to make the most mistakes against you. So I want to isolate him here. I'm prepared to get my pocket 8s in pre-4. 40 blinds. I'm not super excited about it, but his ranges are going to be way worse than other players in this spot. So I want to try and isolate him, and just try and like freeze Borobar the pot, and just try and like win a pot from him. When we 3-bet any calls, which is like the last thing we want, we kind of want him to just jam there, us call, and then just whatever, take a flip, or maybe he's jamming with pocket 6s, pocket 5s, pocket 2s, ace 7. You know, these players can jam all kinds of things. Excuse me. So I wouldn't be worried about getting it in versus him. I wouldn't be excited about it, but at the same time, I wouldn't be worried. And it does give us a chance just to pick the pot up pre-flop, which would be fine when there's whatever there was, and it's 7.5 blinds in. Picking up that with pocket 8 is fine. And then we get like not a great flop. I mean, he shouldn't have like tons and tons of king 8s in his hand. There's loads of things he can have either. We can just make fold still 10-9, queen jack, ace jack. There's lots of things he's just going to fold here. He doesn't have to have a king. He doesn't have to have a flush. He might just have like some random one club hand and call it off. So we could also be value betting. But at this point, because the stack to pot ratio is less than 1, there's 30 in the pot, 28 in his stack. It's not like I'm going to check fold too often. I don't want to just check and give him some free shots at overcards and flush cards. So I just bet, and I was hoping that he would just fold, but knowing sometimes he can definitely call with worse, and if we are beat, well, we're beat. You know, it's nothing which we can do about it. So yeah, that's why I played that hand that way, and I'm comfortable with how it went down. Do I think I played the hand brilliantly? No. Do I think what I did was fine? Yes, I do. Sure, some guys won't like it, but to use one of my favourite Doe Brunson quotes, that's why they make chocolate and vanilla. You know, so everyone does things, everyone likes different things, does different things. I just choose to do that. 3-bet our queens, obviously. No value in betting the queens on the left-hand table. We can start by checking, certainly not folding to 1-bet. And check again on the turn. On the Jack 8-7 in the 3-bet pot, we're going to definitely check back this flop. We have some showdown value. Don't think you're going to anything like calls the 3-bet, like medium pocket pairs, pocket 8s, 9s, 10s, queens, ace jack. None of them are folding. I think we can call this turn. I'm going to fold the queens to this turn bet. And now we can definitely value bet the river. We can have lots of, well, not lots, but there are some hands he can be check calling with here. Pocket queens is one that readily springs to mind. We get raised, we have a very easy fold. And he had the queen king, which is somewhat unfortunate for him. I'm going to keep betting the ace jack until we get raised, and then we'll probably find a fold. We're going to increase the bet on the turn for just for value. Again, we've got somebody UK not playing a full stack. He's going to have lots of worse ace x in his range, flush draws, some gut shots and things. A 10 is not a great card. Limits the hands we can get value from. Well, that's wrong to say that's wrong, but the hands we can get value from now aren't there as much on the turn. All the good shots can't call now. The missed flush draws can't call, so we're kind of like limited to getting value from just ace x. So we're going to make a very small value bet, 4-2 a raise. Jack 10 suited. That's a spot where we can 3-bet, but in the interest of trying to keep things very simple and play on the weak side in common with the theme of the video, I'm going to fold it. Now I would usually 3-bet in that situation, but I want to try and like demonstrate a style of playing that you guys can maybe adopt to an extent, and just take the lower variance, keep yourself out of trouble options, because the one thing recreational players hate, and I don't mean that in a negative sense, I mean that like I hate it too, like low volume recreational players hate is like high variance plays and high variance in general, because if our volume is lower, we just don't get to the long run as quick as like high volume players do. So the one thing that'll put guys like you and I off playing for a while, but is that if we have a bad run, where we'd make a lot of good plays, they just don't work out for us. So there's a lot of short-term variance, and we can just avoid that and keep ourselves in the game, keep ourselves playing, keep ourselves enjoying it by just not taking every 3-bet spot that's available to us. I mean, Jack 10 suited from the small blind versus a cut-off open can absolutely be continued with in several ways. Calling wouldn't be one of them. Probably 3-betting's the best way to continue in that spot, but you don't have to do it. That's the point, Are you passing up a little bit of EV? More than likely. But it's a small bit of EV that comes with a lot of high variance that you don't have to involve yourself with if you don't want to. The more variance the more volume you put in, the more you can take those spots, because you'll reach the long run quicker. We're just going to raise with our flops and nuts here, because there's lots and lots of turn cards that can hurt us. That isn't one that really hurts us very much. If he's got the king jack, it's just unlucky for us, and we're just going to have to pay him off. But it can definitely kill our action. We're going to make a huge bet here on the turn, because there's lots of like trips he can have. Sorry, not trips. There's lots of draws he can still call us with, 2 pairs, things like that. Like I say, he's got the king jack, well, just unlucky for us. Now we've got to make a bet that either really small to try and like just get really thin value from queen 9, queen 10, 10 8, all these 2 pairs, or we bomb it. And I think we're going to go with the small option, just to make sure he doesn't fold a 2-pair type of hand. And he looked us up with exactly the 2-pair hand. I'm feeling it today. I am feeling it. It's all good. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of regulars who'd watch this video and sit and just pour scorn on me for advising people not to always take like every bit of EV that's there. But as I was saying, just to reiterate the point, because this is aimed specifically at recreational players, players that don't have the highest volume in the world. If we're taking every scrap of EV a pre-flop EV. You can still put us in spots post-flop that were not good enough to play, that can end up being like negative EV. And if our mental game isn't quite where it should be, and putting ourselves in like lots of high variance spots can end up making us play really quite badly in other spots, or can make us not enjoy playing the game, or all these things. These are all things that matter to recreational players. And yet we should always be striving to try and take like every bit of EV that's available to us. But that it does come at a price sometimes. If you're saying that this is a plus EV 3-bet, but excuse me, but then your post-flop skills aren't really good enough to extricate yourself from all of the problems that... Wow, my cat's just running on like an idiot. Sorry if you can hear that. If our post-flop skills aren't necessarily good enough to extricate us from some of the spots that we put ourselves in, then it can end up being like a losing proposition for us anyway. It can be a proposition that doesn't give us much pleasure, and it can just spoil our enjoyment of the grind. So you don't have to take every single bit of EV, especially the really, really small bits that come with quite a high variance tariff. You can just let them go. Wow, we're flopping well again. My last video, someone on Reddit didn't complain, to be fair. They just commented that they get bored watching videos where people just flop the nuts all the time. I can promise you guys, I'd almost never start making a video and then stop. The only times I'll stop is if I fucking ball something up in like what I'm saying, or if I say something absolutely ridiculous, or if it's just boring and nothing happens. If I get in tough spots where I play badly, I tend to just continue with the video, because you guys play badly too, and it's those spots. I just want to. There's all sorts of ways you can have full houses here. 9, 8, 9, 10, pocket 10s, pocket 6s, pocket 8s. I'm not going to raise this. I'd see no value in raising. He's only bet 1/3 pot, so it looks like he's just like blocking with maybe trips here or a 10, but I just don't think he's going to call with worse. And he did just river the nut straight, so not happy with the result, but happy with my call. But yeah, I do tend to just do videos in one take. I don't have the time to start making a video and then just keep stopping, deleting, recording again until we get in spots that make me look clever. I don't have the time or the inclination to do that. So if I run good in the video, it's just pure fucking chance that we run good. And I missed a very obvious c-bet there with my ace-3 when I was talking. That's a mistake. I'm just going to fold. We've been called 4-bet from an Australian guy who doesn't have a full stack here. We're definitely going to let this ace-queen go. We're in a bad situation. If we call and we hit something, we could have a second best hand. We're going to miss too often and just have to fold anyway. So he's repping huge strength there with the called 4-bet. We're just going to respect that and let him have the pot. A stab here with my king jack. When he checks back 7-7-3, he doesn't have very many pairs, I wouldn't imagine. You can have a lot of ace highs and stuff, so we're just going to bet twice to try and make him fold. And if he's like being trappy with the monster, then good for him. He's going to win 2 bets from me. And it's super unlikely he's going to be trappy there. Wow, we've been min 3-bet. These games are actually playing quite nicely. It's 11:30 on a Wednesday morning, which isn't the sort of time I would typically expect. Wow. Action galore here. 2 queens. Start by just calling, I think. I don't have a huge intention of folding here. I'm going to check here. I'm going to hope Simpson, if anyone's going to make a mistake in this hand, it's most likely to be Simpson. And he might make a mistake by just betting this flop with all this. Oh, should I? No, in fact, no, that's wrong. I think I should just bet for value from Simpson. If this Belarusian gentleman check jams on me, I'm not going to enjoy the situation, but we're just going to flick it in and get on with it. I was thinking of checking there to Simpson in the hope that he might stab with his pocket 8s and not fold to a check raise, but if he's got pocket 8s there, he's probably just going to pay me off anyway. So there was no reason to get fancy. That is definitely a leak of mine. I can sometimes get a little bit fancy, but there's no reason to. I can start going for some check raises and things when value betting is just equally as good a play. Again, this is a situation where lots of players would 3-bet. Nothing wrong with 3-betting in this situation. We're just going to elect to fold though. We're just going to keep things really as simple as possible and just try to avoid too many tough spots, which is something that you never hear other people saying in videos, to avoid the tough spots. But as recreational players who are just trying to play for pleasure, and you know that we don't have monster ambitions other than to try and make a little bit of money from poker and critically enjoy it, yeah, we're not going to be the guys that are doing those kind of things. We can do if we want to, but we don't have to. We're just trying to show there's a way, you know, we can effectively win. And it's not even, you know, I am nitty personally. I'm a nitty player, but you don't have to be a nit. You know, you can still just have like really wide open ranges and things. You just don't need to get involved in the whole 3-bet 4-bet dick waving thing. And a lot of people will say that's just bad advice, but these guys haven't spoken to as many recreational players as I have and understand just what makes recreational players tick, what disappoints recreational players, and what makes them not want to play. I've basing a lot of the stuff I say in videos on the conversations I've had with people, and you know, lots of people don't enjoy playing poker because, you know, like 6 max zoom and what have you, because of the whole 3-bet, 4-bet, 5-bet, like super aggro pre-flop thing. So I'm hopefully trying to demonstrate a way where you can get pleasure from the game, derive a profit from the game, without massively getting into the whole pre-flop war games that can definitely be part of these games, and that a lot of the time are a part of these games. I'm not going to c-bet the, am I? Yeah, I think we will actually. We have a good shot. We can maybe get him to fold some small pairs, pocket 3s, pocket 4s, that type of thing. And if we get called, we have our good shot. He calls. I think it's most likely he's going to have one of these 3 cards, maybe a hand like pocket 7s. We're not going to try and bluff him when the 8, it's kind of a brick, the 8. It's not going to, anything that called the flop, it's not really going to make them fold on the turn, I wouldn't have thought. And now it looks like I think he'd bet a 10 on the river on the turn. I think if he's going to, like 9x, pocket 7s, that type of thing here. And I just don't think he's going to fold it, given how the hand's played out, so we're not going to try and make him. Oh, wow. Wow, he really float the 4-5 there. 4-5 suited. Goodness me. Yep, not going to lie, do not understand that one. That is one that has maybe he was just waiting to try and bluff some turns, who knows, maybe he just wanted to, for a 4 to a straight to come up on the board and just bluff, who knows. Again, this is a spot where we could and perhaps should 3-bet. Yeah, in fact I think we need to be 3-betting or folding here. We don't want to be calling very often from the cutoff. We're just going to get squeezed a bunch of the times, and we want to try and avoid getting squeezed. So we don't want to be doing. Sorry about the coughing there. We don't want to be doing too much calling. I mean, I know we called with the Queen 10 suited earlier, but that was a little bit different. Not much, but a tiny bit different. We don't want to be doing too much calling, he says, as he just calls. We want to try to be playing with the initiative where possible, and usually just allowing people to have the initiative and folding, making some tight folds, rather than making some calls. Oh, I need to defend this part of my range, I need to call with this, need to call with that, and then just like regularly having hands that don't really add up to very much. Oops, wrong button. I've been playing the stars now for just over a week solid, by the way, which is almost unheard of for me. I've made some very uncomplimentary videos about stars during my time, but I now think it's possibly the best place for me at the moment. We're in 3-bet, we're out of position with 2 9s, we're just going to let it go. You will not find me calling 3-bets out of position with pocket pairs very often, unless someone makes a very small 3-bet or we are very deep. 100 blinds deep against the standard open size and the standard 3-bet size. Standard 3-bet size, I'm usually just pitching the pocket 9s or pocket 8s, those kind of pairs. Because it's, I don't think it makes us very much money to call. It does create a spot that's quite hard to play quite often and can be very frustrating. So I think it's just fine to just fold in those spots, and you know, if someone's making us fold a little bit of equity, well, good for them. It's not the end of the world. So I've been playing Stars for about a week, and I've been mixing it up too. I've been playing a little bit of everything, and that's why I think Stars is the best place for me right now. Because I like playing different forms of poker, and Stars has got them all. And not only that, Stars isn't as tough as it was 18 months ago. The rate changes have definitely forced some of the players to disperse and go to other sites. Stars has got a little bit softer, for example. Party Poker and AAA have got a little bit harder. Sky's got a little bit harder too. There's definitely more regulars on Sky these days than there used to be. Unibet too. So I think like some of the regs have dispersed from Stars and gone to other sites in search of like Pastures New and softer games, etc. So I think the whole playing field's levelling a little bit. I still think Stars is undoubtedly the toughest place to play, but it's not as tough as it was. It's still got the lowest rake, to the best of my knowledge, and it has lots and lots of different game options to me. I like playing Pot Limit Omaha. I like playing some full ring. I like playing 6 max. I like playing tournaments sometimes. I don't mind playing sit and go from time to time. So just having most of my bankroll on Stars, it allows me to be an all-round poker player rather than just like a no-limit hold'em, sort of pigeon-holding and no-limit hold'em thing. And I'm not saying you guys have to do that. I mean, I've been playing poker a long time. I played most formats of the game, and I'm adept at most of them, shall I say. I'm not going to say I'm a crusher or really good in any of them, but I hold my own in most of the games I put myself in, be that low-limit MTTs, low-limit sit-and-goes, low-limit Pot Limit Omaha. Mixed games are probably still efficient, but I enjoy playing them and try to get better in them. It just gives me options. If I get bored of playing No Limit Hold'em for a couple of days, I can just go and play some PLO. If I get bored with the PLO, I can just go and play some 5-card PLO. I say, you know what, I'm not feeling it today, we can just go and play some mixed games and work on my mixed game. As a recreational player, I have that option available to me. I don't have to just always be doing the no limit grind. And I'm not sure how long I'll stick with Pokerstars, but it's sticking for longer than it has in a long time, so long may that continue. But I've been making some money, so maybe that's why. Maybe if I have like a $3 or $400 downswing, maybe that will change. We never know. But right now it's feeling pretty good. I'm going to go for a check raise here with the Jack 8. That C-bet's not convincing. He could just be, you know, I might be obsessed with being trapped and monsters under the bed, but he might just be trying to induce something here, but we'll go for it anyway. With 2 overs, with backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. And it looks like he was just like min betting to trap me, so good for him. It worked. He won 7 blinds he wouldn't have won. Jack King on the Jack 8-8. We're going to double barrel here. Just try and put some pressure on his medium strength stuff. Like all these like really low full houses, like pocket 2s through pocket 7s, that type of thing. We wouldn't triple barrel there. We'd just usually just double barrel. And only triple barrel if we improve to a boat. Oh, I've done these half hours ago quickly. We're almost done for this video, guys. 25 with Zoom hasn't been quite as arduous as I expected. Still isn't going to be something I'm going to be grinding a lot of. When I looked on the Zoom lobby, there's just too many people with number 4 next to them. Too many people 4 tabling for my liking. Because most of those guys, even if they're just like not good regs, are still too many of the fuckers for my liking. And they're not going to be making too many huge mistakes for us to exploit. So I'm only going to play these sorts of games when the pool looks like it's not too bad. Ace 10 off. It's a hand we're going to 3-bet for sure from the button versus the cut-off open. And don't like the calling much. Don't like folding much. So 3-bet, and then becomes the option, and then we just get the massive cold 4-bet. There's nothing we can do about this. That bet is huge as well. Well, not huge, but it's bigger than I'd like to see it, which obviously just going to let it go. We're not going to see bet the ace king. We don't need to. We've got showdown value, and anything that is ahead of us isn't going to fold. Not on that board for sure. Just going to keep checking. We're going to like end up letting some like shitty pairs beat us sometimes here, but the problem is they're just not going to fold. So yeah, we are giving an easy ride to pocket 7s, pocket 6s, that type of thing. But if they're not going to fold, we're just burning money, in my opinion. And you know, we might just have the best hand. He might just have king queen here and just let us win the same way. Oh wow, I am absolutely feeling it today on nailing people's hands. It is just not pure luck, but it's not that hard by the time we get to the river to usually assign someone a pretty narrow range. I'm not going to go with the deuces. We are going to sit out next big blind though. I've got to go and take my mum shopping, which, much as I love my mum to bits, isn't the most exciting part of my day, but you know, jobs to do, people to see. So we flop second pair. I'm going to bet here, just for, not really for value, just like to just charge Jack 10, Jack Queen, those types of things. Maybe we get a call by pocket 7 to 1 street, or ace 8 or something too. Wow, that is someone who goes past my street every single day riding his bike, singing really loud. I hope you guys heard that, because he's pretty funny. He's quite the character. And now we're betting for value. Now, instead of hoping he doesn't have a king, we're now hoping he does have a king. I hope he doesn't lead this river. He doesn't. So I think we're always good here. It's the kind of range of tagging now is his king X, his king Jack, king 10, stuff like that. I think betting around 11 blinds is going to get us a call here. A lot of the time, if we get raised, it's going to suck. But we don't get raised, so it doesn't suck. And there we go, that's the end of the video. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. There'll be lots of regulars who'll be spitting feathers at some of the things we've talked about in terms of avoiding the higher variance, lower EV spots. We've talked about turning down EV in some occasions as recreational players just to prolong the grind and to not demotivate us. It's all the kind of things you don't typically hear people saying, but based on my experience of talking poker with lots and lots of recreational players, they just hate those spots. So my argument is, if you hate the spots, just don't take them. Don't feel obliged. You're not obliged to do anything. People don't know what you're folding in these games. People don't know that you're folding Jack 10 suited from the small blind to a 2.5x open. You know, they don't know that. They don't need to know that. You don't need to feel bad about doing it. That's kind of the point of this video. It's got the whole part of the point of what the whole series and how my videos are going to be shaped going forwards. They're not going to be aimed at regular players. They're going to be discussing things that's going to make regular players teeth itch. I'm probably going to get some criticism for some of the stuff, but I just know it's the kind of stuff that recreational players not only want to hear, they want to be able to know that it's fine to just do these things and we can still make a profit without taking some of like the high variance routes. People want to know that because they don't know it at the minute. They just think you have to take all these high variance routes that put them in all kinds of problems post flop, and you don't have to do it. Are you giving up a little bit of EV? Possibly. Is it such a big deal if you're just a recreational player? Absolutely not. And that's the kind of message we're going to be trying to get across for the next few videos for sure, and probably for all the videos going forward. So there we are. If you don't like what I've said, tough titties. It's kind of where we are with it. If you think it's bad advice, whatever, tell me. Well, I just shrug my shoulders, not give a shit, because I know what recreational players feel, I know what they want, and I'm hopefully trying to deliver it. So we'll leave it there, and yeah, we'll be back soon with another video. Bye bye for now.